click below to watch the original Sins video.
This motherfucker.
Short, sweet, and an effective way to open the video. Here's a sin-off. This movie contains an inadequate amount of buck. The sheer amount of shitting on science that is taking place in this scene.
A prehistoric rat would never survive in the vacuum of space.
Really, out of all of this shit taking place in the opening scene, this is the one that you have a problem with. I have no idea what the fuck is going on, but it's definitely a sin.
You can't spend your whole life playing it safe.
I know I would.
Dad?
This is just Finding Nemo in woolly mammoth clothing.
You know how I feel about you going to the falls.
Just replace the falls with the drop-off and you'll start to see what I mean.
Wow, more than one movie having an overprotective parent is so sinful, it's not even funny.
When I'm dead, plus 3 days. Just to make sure I'm dead.
Nobody in this franchise dies, so a Jesus-style 3-day surprise isn't that interesting.
Okay, I've seen this movie a lot of times, but I didn't realize that the 3 days thing was supposed to be a Jesus reference until I watched this video, at which point I burst out laughing. This is actually a really funny joke that totally should have gotten a send-off. Also, I'll give you that the characters in these movies are often surviving things that they probably shouldn't be, but nobody gets fucking resurrected. This isn't a Marvel movie.
Mom! Dad!
I shouldn't be surprised that Diego just happened to be smacked by the toboggan that happened to have Sid's parents who happened to go down the mountain on a path that happened to lead directly to the camp that contained the characters we needed to connect. But I am.
While I do agree that it was a pretty big coincidence that Sid's parents hit Diego, the fact that they ended up where the main set of characters are makes complete sense, considering that they were looking for Sid so that they could dump Granny on him.
They left. They only wanted to find you so you could take care of Granny.
So far, this mammoth guy seems to know all the plot details, and that is suspicious.
Sid's parents told Manny their plans. This isn't something that he just magically knows with no explanation.
As the continents drift apart right this second, I'd like to remind you that it is because Scrat chased an acorn while on top of the Earth's core.
Honestly, I'm inclined to agree with this end. When the cause of the natural disasters in these movies is just Scrat fucking about, it gets kind of hard to take them seriously as an actual threat.
Help me turn this thing around!
He thinks a few creatures paddling can turn a floating iceberg against the ocean's current. And this movie already has a Sid and a Scrat, so it doesn't need any more new stupid person characters.
Manny isn't being stupid here. He's just being desperate to find some semblance of control in a situation that threatens the lives of him and his loved ones.
Also, this is just like the Bible, when Jonah and Job floated out to sea on a whale carcass and endured lots of testing from both the weather and Satan.
Why do you keep trying to force religious allegories onto the Ice Age movies?
That wall is gonna keep moving and crush us. We need to get to the land bridge.
How do you know the land bridge is still intact or will stay intact? This movie acts like the land bridge is a sure thing all movie long, but I bet you $100 at the end they make the land bridge fall into the sea after most of them get together on one side of the ocean.
Well, they don't exactly have any other options if they don't want to fucking die. In this clip, the iceberg they're on is fully submerged under the water, yet somehow all of the characters manage to stay on.
Holy crap!
Which is less believable after all the ocean turmoil? That Granny survived in the tree, or all the fruit remains on this tree?
Also, the piece of land that Manny, Diego, and Sid were on just so happened to also contain the tree that Granny was sleeping in.
Whoever ate this acorn and left the partial shell on the ocean floor at crushed depth also left a treasure map to an acorn hoard, because that makes sense.
Also, the world broke apart yesterday. How is there a map to Scratlandis when it only would have just have been created?
Sometimes this movie wants to have heartfelt Pixar-type moments, but then in other moments, it just wants to be SpongeBob.
It is completely possible for heartfelt moments and silly moments to coexist in the same movie.
How big is this ocean?
How long is this movie?
This movie is less than an hour and a half long. Quit your bitchin'.
Oh, it's a frozen tree ice boat.
I just want to say, the setup for the pirates is so good. From the scene of Scrap being kidnapped by the scary-looking ship, to the bird ominously flying through the fog and talking with Gut, coupled with keeping his face obscured in Peter Dinklage's line delivery, plus really well-done music and sound design, I get chills every time I watch this part. Granted, once we actually meet the pirates, all of them except for Gut are pretty unthreatening, but the setup was so incredible that I feel like this needs to be mentioned. I can't take a missed sin off because the missed sins are just like a subset of the regular sins, so instead I'll just add a regular sin for Jeremy not giving this movie credit where it deserves. No sins are removed for easily the best villain in the entire franchise.
What this movie did not need was a song.
Yeah, but the song kinda slaps, so who really cares?
I miss you, Dad.
Those are stars.
What the fuck? I would love to dissect this sin and try to apply logic to it, but I get the feeling that I've already given this sin way much more thought than you or your writers ever did.
I mean, not scared, but, like concerned.
Wow, I bet Drake loved voicing a character that teenagers are in love with.
You might want to lose the mole hog.
Louis? Yeah, sure. Not a problem.
She abandons her best friend instantly once the hot guy suggests it.
AKA a teenager acts in character.
Food! Oh, I miss you so much.
There was a fruit tree on their ice island, but maybe that ran out early?
What you just saw here was Jeremy making a sin and then providing a completely plausible explanation for why it is not actually a sin.
Also, this movie started out a Finding Nemo ripoff, then it veered into a weird Noah Jonah thing, and now it's doing a War of the Roses, because this movie has no idea what it wants to be, except that it wants to appeal to everyone.
Wow, more than one movie having an I don't know because I have never seen War of the Roses. But yeah, pointing out vague similarities between movies does not constitute a sin or a good comedy.
Excuse me, I am not soft, okay? I happen to be a remorseless assassin.
Sigh, this movie is now the saber-toothed Harry Met Sally.
Oh, for fuck's sake. You know what? The next time a sin is just Jeremy's being, this is too similar to another thing that exists, you will hear this noise, and the sin counter will go up.
I made you another coral necklace. He keeps losing them.
This would be 1,000% funnier if we had a single short scene earlier of the sloth making a shell necklace for Diego and Diego pretending to accept it but then throwing it into the ocean.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't think this joke is funny, but the suggestion that it would be funny if we were shown Diego throwing away Sid's first necklace is dumb and you should feel bad about it.
Grab your weapons, mates!
Who could have guessed that the fourth Ice Age movie would turn into a kind of Waterworld Braveheart Mad Max homage where a bunch of new characters fight and take up a lot of screen time? Wait, the narwhals are on the bad guy's payroll? Why?
Because they're useful to have around?
Why is this f***ing animal so goddamn strong? This movie veers wildly to and fro with regard to how strong these animals should or shouldn't be.
Gut is supposed to be a Gigantopithecus, the largest ape ever at 10 feet tall, which makes sense that it would be really freakishly strong.
Now the loyalty of my crew!
I'm really sorry. I am. But how loyal can a crew be that you formed a few days ago? And I really feel I'm right about the fact that they can't have been a pirate crew already prior to the Continental Drift, because who would they have been pirating? There aren't any humans, there are no boats, no one was out here on the water floating around on ice until the shift. So again, how loyal could this crew possibly be?
There actually were humans in the first movie, which, granted, the subsequent movies seem to have completely forgotten about, but that specific part of what you said was wrong.
Scrat goes by on an ice ball, and the last time we saw him, he was eaten by a shark, and we haven't gone back to him. So the movie thought that seeing Scrat get hypnotized by the monster sirens would be more entertaining than showing us how Scrat got out of a shark's belly. And the movie was wrong.
I mean, you've seen all of the other Scrat segments simply for existing, so I doubt that you would have been entertained by one no matter what happened in it. The movie reuses the same model as Buck's knife from the last movie and thinks that I won't notice it.
No, it's too dangerous!
Not if you're half possum.
Now we're back to the Finding Nemo ripoff storyline, and honestly, I'm exhausted. There's no way any kind of primate this size holds their own against a woolly mammoth, and I'm so tired of this f***ing annoying, lazy, stupid movie.
Why? These creatures are both prehistoric, so it's not like we know how good of a fighter they were. So shortly after my video on The Meltdown, I decided to do a thing for this movie called a Missed Sins Special, where I would take a movie that Jeremy had not yet sinned and basically make my own sins video for it. However, I was almost done with the script for that right when Jeremy went and sinned this movie anyway, so here's one last sin for ruining my plans.